At that point in time, Marion, it was great. I mean, the downtown was just great. Everything, you had movie theaters downtown, you had stores, and everything. That's all kind of changed, and that's sad. That's sad.
Attention all shoppers, the 5 Points Mall is now closed. Please make your final selections and make your way towards the registers. We appreciate you for shopping at 5 Points Mall.
Oh, it was great. I mean, that mall out there, that mall was full of stores. I mean, there wasn't any empty places out there. And it was great. You could go out there and spend 2 or 3, 4 hours at a time just going through all the stores. It was great when we had all that.
I can't even tell you all the stores that were in here then. There was Fashion Bug and Wilson's Leather used to be in here. The place was always crowded. You could not get through the aisles. There were so many stores here, and everybody shopped in the mall at that time.
They could not wait to have a mall to go into, other than having to go to Fort Wayne or Indianapolis or Muncie or somewhere like that. We'd have our own mall. Yeah, we were real excited about that. Penny's, Sears, the big department stores. But then we get in, and then you'd have the little shops, like Leather Den. Leather Den was awesome. You go in there and buy leather jackets or skirts or bags or shoes, or it was an awesome place to go. So I'd say that's probably my favorite one.
We employed probably twice as many people as we do now because the sales were so high and we had so much merchandise coming in. Grand opening day, you couldn't hardly get through here. It was much better than they expected. After the first couple of months, it slowed down a little bit, but we still consistently ran higher numbers than other stores our size.
Well, it was exciting because we moved into the old Thomas Kincaid room with our tanning beds. And we had Sears, and we had Penny's, and we had 2 jewelry stores, and the mall was thriving. So it was exciting. The mall walkers were amazing. They were very welcoming to us. There was a need for another tuxedo rental place in town. We had some consignment vendors in there, so some new items for people to be able to reach out and purchase. And we had a little tasty treat area, so people could stop and have some popcorn or an Otis Spunkmeyer cookie and just visit. And so we became a family, not just a business to people. The mall walkers, they wanted to stop and maybe have a cup of coffee, or, we carried Pepsi products at the time. Hot chocolate. So yeah, it was just offering something to people that wasn't there. It's bittersweet because we went in when business was booming and we were the last one standing.
You would hear people talk as you passed by them, oh, this isn't anything like it used to be. That kind of thing. So yeah, they did realize how bad it was going. I mean, once one chain, Sears left, it was just a matter of time for the others shut down. I think the last anchor store to leave was Carson's. And that was not even 10 years ago. That might have even been not even 5 years ago. But yeah, everybody knew. And then once Carson's left, it was just a matter of time for all the little stores to just go. So yeah. It was a shame.
As each major store closed, sales would drop off. And then when they closed the interior completely, they dropped off majorly. We have built a lot of it back up. I'm not sure why it took so long, but the general public has never picked back up since the mall closed. We never let anybody go, but a lot of people had to quit because instead of working even part-time, people were getting 4 or 5 days a week. They would get 25 to 30 hours, and the hours went down to like 15 or 20. It was very discouraging because your sales drop off, you lose a lot of good people, because we had built a nice team. And
the money in Marion, Indiana is at the north end of town, not at the south end. And for years they would run cars coming to IWU through Gas City and this way because they didn't want them to come through the blighted areas of Marion. And that was one of the big issues with the mall. They directed things south. It has a major effect on all the community, on the housing, on taxes, on retail. And what the cause of that was basically nationwide. It just didn't happen to Marion. It happened to a lot of smaller towns. And even if you go to Fort Wayne and Indianapolis, those malls, the big A malls, are struggling because of factories and things.
Well, after Sears moved out and Penny's moved out, things started dying down. And then I think maintenance on the mall became a problem. So you had more and more stores moving out. Part of it was the economy, part of it was just finding a better location, a newer location. Well, we did see the writing on the wall. They started blocking off the hallways. Once Planet Fitness came in, we were cut off from the rest of the mall. So the mall walkers weren't able to walk. It was just me, Shuba Lee, and Roses at this end of the mall. So when when Shuba Lee had announced that they were leaving, we had already signed a lease to move to our new location here. Yeah, we figured we would have to move eventually. You can't have no stores in a mall and it be successful. And then when some of my older clients would come in to get their vitamins or their herbs, and they'd say, "We have to traipse through this dead mall to get here to you." They were very happy when I moved here, and then they could just pull up to the door and come in. We were looking for another location when we seen the mall dying. We just wanted to hold out, thought maybe someone would buy the mall and possibly renovate it and bring new life to it.
When somebody would come into the mall, new owners, they would start talking in their due diligence at the mall, and they would be talking what they're going to do with the mall and what they're going to do. And I found that over the years, being in retail for almost 40 years totally, talk's cheap. Let me see your wallet, see how much money you want to put into this business, and then we'll see how good it's going to turn out. And all the owners of the past, not the original owners of the mall, they talked a good story to Marion, but they didn't have the funds to follow through. And I think if they would have followed through, the mall would still be open today.
So it was like June 2018, I went to the city council meeting and had no idea that it was happening. They, Randall Miller and Associates, they're like head guy. He was there with this guy named Charles Everhart. Charles Everhart was the head of like some real estate development out of Omaha, Nebraska. So they give this big presentation to the city council and they're like, this guy's gonna come in and he's gonna buy the mall and he's going to turn it into veterans only college. And he's like, we're going to do like hospitality training, wellness training, and film training. And he's like, it's going to be millions of dollars of investment. It's going to create 50 to 100 jobs. And it's like, we're going to do tiny apartments in the mall for veterans. And we're going to have our own food service, security, And the part of the mall that they said they were going to buy, they were going to close it off. They were going to close it off. It wasn't going to be available. Like, you can't go into it from the public. So like, once this like sale was approved, it was going to no longer be a mall.
There was a veteran idea that they were going to put veteran housing in there and education and things like that, and that sounded really good. That just never, they weren't following through with that. When Sears left and Penny's left, we pitched the idea of a family activity center, a go-kart track, or a pizza and draft house, things like that, because we thought in Marion, you know, there was nothing really for families to do. And we really was hoping for something like that. But again, that just never came to fruition.
I was actually talking to a fellow today. He said, why wouldn't a go-kart track go in there? And I said, well, Lee, let me tell you why. Because in every one of those buildings, the pillars are about 20 feet apart. In Sears, Penny's, every one of them. I said, you can't take them down. If you took those pillars out, then the roof's gonna fall in. And I said, it's 20 feet apart, you can't get a good start on a go-kart. So that's not gonna work anywhere you go in that building. That's just the way it is. So those talks were always thrown out. They was gonna do this, put trampolines in it. You can't put a trampoline in someplace that's got a 20-foot ceiling, you know. You're going to have concussions all over the place. So it's just one of those things, people that buy places like this, they have no idea.
I think anything in the mall would be a plus. Any type of business out here, even if it's not other stores. And even the surrounding buildings and stuff, they've tore some down. Some of the banks have moved. We just need business, like I said, throughout the city to keep things running. Downtown, though, used to have a lot of stores too, and then it went away just like the mall went away. And they're starting to rebuild a lot of it. But I think the entire city needs to be encompassed if we're going to keep Grant County, keep people shopping here instead of going to Fort Wayne or Indianapolis or Kokomo. Now I know they do more outdoor malls to cut down on cost, but I personally don't like the outdoor malls in the wintertime or rain, you know. In the summer it's nice, but well, I think people leave town to shop a lot now. We don't have the stores. I know there's some out south in the strip malls and stuff, but we don't have the stores that we had then. And you don't have the selection of merchandise, and so people just leave town.
Well, I hope there's more collaborations, and your smaller mom and pops, people that make things, artisans. You know, I see a lot of that coming downtown, and I would hope that retail would stay strong out north here.
I'm so glad you want me to be positive, because for so long I've always thought Marion was cursed. I have thought that for ages, because, you know, all our factories shut down, and then the mall shut down, and we have had a horrible, horrible existence since the factories left. And I hate to be so negative. I don't want to seem negative. But the one positive thing that I've seen grow out here is the university. It's grown Marion so much, and I would love to see, you know, more things do like this. But I don't know that that'll ever happen.
It's sad that Marion doesn't have any shopping. Not to speak of, I mean, they have a couple stores, but not very much. And it used to be they had all kinds of clothing stores and dime stores and, you know, things like that. I don't know whether it would ever come back to that or not. It'd be nice to have these buildings downtown full of some kind of business, but I don't know. I have good days and bad days. You know, I love it or I wouldn't be here. But there's times when it gets, you know, a little hard to, you know, to go through and things like that. But you take it in stride and you just go. You have to. This is our living, so we have to do what we do.